Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to this brand new New Year's Eve edition of Renegade Wrestling. I am your host, JJ Williams. Let me first and foremost apologize for the lack of brand new content last week. You know, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, families coming, families going, bunch of stuff in the house with the studio's family. It was crazy, it was chaotic, so I apologize for no new content last week. But we're here this week, as always, and get the ball rolling on what looks like it's going to be a very good 2013 for us. Big things coming, hopefully, for the Casa in the new year. What's your New Year's resolution? Let us know. Leave it in the comment box. First things first, of course, we're going to get to the questions. One of my favorite YouTube users, I drink lots of beer. Hey JJ, where do you think WWE would be without the guys they signed from Ring of Honor? Guys like Bryan, Tyler Black, and even Chris Hero to an extent all have major roles in the WWE. Like Punk being their top heel / longest reigning champ in 25 years. Bryan being half of arguably the funniest gimmick. Rollins in the Shield, Hero as Cassius Ohno on NXT. And also, do you think they could or should have gone with Bryan or Hero in the Shield instead of Roman Reigns? Well, I know that the women in the Casa D18 studios will probably be mad at me for saying it, but yes, I think Chris Hero probably should have replaced Roman Reigns in the ring as far as the Shield goes. Roman isn't near as ready as some of the other guys are. He's still a little too green. I noticed, though, in here that you left out Claudio Castagnoli, the United States champion, Antonio Cesaro, other half of the Kings on Wrestling. Right now, I think WWE would be a lot worse off than they already are if they didn't have the workhorse talent from ROH that they've gotten, like your Bryan Danielsons, your CM Punks, your Tyler Blacks, and Claudio Castagnolis. When he manages to stay sober and not injured, your Matt Sydals, Evan Bourne. If they didn't have that serious workhorse talent, I think WWE would be a lot worse off than they already are. WWE anime fans, what do you think if Wade Barrett was a face? Would it be a clusterfuck? Right now, Wade Barrett has to stay heel because of the fact that too many people are turning face. They need some steady, solid heels right now, and Wade Barrett is a good one. I don't think Wade Barrett as a face overall would be a clusterfuck. They just would have to find the right feud to get him over to make him a full-on babyface. Scotty Mack, with the Shield and Big E Langston and Brad Maddox now on the full-time roster, and with the likes of Dolph Ziggler, Sin Cara, and Damien Sandow, WWE are showing us the future. My question to you is, which 5 WWE wrestlers would you fire? Please say Great Khali. Merry Christmas to you, JJ, and everyone at Casa D18. Well, Scotty, I hope you had a Merry Christmas also. I hope you're going to have a fun New Year's Eve tonight and a great New Year's Day tomorrow. The 5 wrestlers I would fire. This is probably going to be met with a lot of controversy, but a wise man once said that controversy creates cash. So, my 5 wrestlers that I would fire, and I quote, John Cena, Randy Orton, The Big Show, Kane, and the Great Khali. Reason being is none of them need the spotlight anymore. They're not necessarily all past their prime, but Cena's stale. Orton is stale. Big Show is stale. Kane has been turned into a fucktard. And Great Khali is just useless. So you got your wish, Scotty. I did say Great Khali. But those are the 5 I would fire. That then gives WWE the opportunity to do what they had to do in the Attitude Era when you had WCW and even ECW breathing down their neck and creating new stars, elevating talent. Get rid of those 5 guys, that's a good portion of your main event roster. Trust me, I'd like to fire Sheamus too, but I think he'll just suck Triple H's cock and get his job back. But those are the 5 I would get rid of. Cena, Orton, Show, Kane, Khali. David Anthony Hunter says, "Hey JJ, first of all, I would like to wish you all a Merry Christmas." Hope you had a Merry Christmas too, David. I have 2 questions. My first question is, if The Undertaker wrestled at WrestleMania 10 and 2000, do you think the streak would be intact still? Without question. And the second question is, do you watch soccer? No. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm not going to mislead you. None of that stuff. I don't watch soccer at all. My final question today comes from Detol Godzilla Star. Hey JJ, first, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you too. Triple H has said we have not seen the last of The Undertaker, and you said the Taker might work in a tag team match. What do you mean by that? Who would Undertaker team with and against who? And do you think a tag team match would hurt the streak? Considering the fact that last year's match was so great that a tag team match might make it look like they're not trying anymore. Well, in my opinion, the only thing that would make it look like they're not trying anymore is if they completely give up and stop trying. I think a tag team match, if booked properly, could seriously hide Undertaker's weakness this year at WrestleMania and allow him to get fully recovered and even better come WrestleMania 30. Here's what I would do. Step 1. Royal Rumble. I would have Kane and Daniel Bryan, Team Hell No, start to show some dissension. By the time Elimination Chamber runs around, break up. Bryan and Punk start to form an alliance because Punk makes Bryan realize who he is. That he is the guy that Jericho took the best in the world moniker from, and that Punk took the best in the world moniker from. That Bryan is the American fucking dragon. Punk would bring that old ROH-esque fire out of the dragon. Fire dragon, like that. So then you've got Punk and Bryan on the other side. And then you'd have the Brothers of Destruction on the other side. Something that's never been at Mania before. Brothers of Destruction have never been on WrestleMania. So there in of itself is your selling factor. The Brothers of Destruction versus the 2 men that claim to be the best in the world. ROH talent that's come into the company. The longest reigning WWE champion in the last 25 years. And the man who's got a lot to prove coming off of his 18-second title loss at last year's Mania. Punk and Bryan win, but they pin Kane. There's the key. So the history books will show that Undertaker and Kane lost at WrestleMania, but with the Undertaker not being pinned or made to submit, is the streak intact? Punk and Bryan think they've ended the streak. They go about running their mouth about how they finally ended the streak of the Undertaker. Kane's allowed to flip back into that monster heel that he's always been best at. talks about how he sabotaged his brother, allowing him to get his only loss at WrestleMania by being pinned himself. I finally defeated The Undertaker. Builds and builds over the next year while The Undertaker is off convalescing and getting healed back up for WrestleMania 30. You get excuse me, you get Undertaker Bryan maybe at SummerSlam. You get Undertaker Kane maybe at Survivor Series. You get Undertaker Punk maybe at the Rumble. You don't do Elimination Chamber in February. And for the first time ever at WrestleMania, you book an Elimination Chamber match for the streak. Because you've already got Punk, who claims that he ended the streak, along with Bryan Danielson, who claims they ended the streak. You've got Kane, who claims he ended the streak by being the one that got pinned. And then just for shits and giggles, to fill out the other pods, along with The Undertaker obviously, you put Triple H, and for one night only, Shawn Michaels. The two men who came the closest at WrestleMania to actually defeating the streak. Will the streak survive WrestleMania 30 inside Hell in a Cell? And met with controversy over here, but I would either have Taker retain the streak and win and go through everybody, or I'd put Bryan Danielson over. Because none of the other people need to establish their legacy. Shawn Michaels is already retired. He doesn't have to end the Undertaker's streak. Triple H is quasi-retired. He doesn't have to end the streak. Kane is the big red monster, probably at the end of his run too. He has nothing to gain by ending the Undertaker's streak, except for maybe finally getting revenge for the fire that the dead man started all those years ago. Punk is the longest reigning champion in 25 years. He doesn't have to end the streak. But Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, got turned into a joke at the hands of Team Hell No and lost his world title in 18 seconds at this year's WrestleMania. He's got something to prove. And as long as they allowed him to be the Dragon Bryan Danielson that you can look up on the internet on YouTube and see his matches of, it would make perfect sense in my opinion. What do y'all think? It's going to be some serious controversy and debate. Going to fill up the comment box off of that one. I'm probably going to get a lot of trolls. I don't care. Let me know what you think of that scenario. Also, like I said, leave us your New Year's resolutions. Who knows? Maybe a couple of us will read some of those off, later in this week. I've still got my Friday show to film. Make sure you tune in to In the Pink tomorrow, Stat Boy Rants on Wednesday. I, of course, will be back on Friday. You can find our shows here on the Casa D18 Studios YouTube channel or on UnlimitedRadio247.net. And until next time, I will see you right here at the Casa D18 Studios and on UnlimitedRadio247.net.